The final major of the season is upon us, the Open Championship. We are about to give you a mega preview from storylines to betting advice this year at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, the home of Rory McIlroy. The club built back in 1888. The last time the tournament was held there was back in 2019. Another Irishman, not from Northern Ireland, but Shane Lowry won it then. And this year we enter with Xander Schauffele as the reigning champ of the Claret Jug. So getting us ready here, we have our good friend Michael Breed. Greg Ducharme is going to join us in a second. Let's do a course preview because I was looking at this on a map. And first of all, we're in Northern Ireland. It is like at the tippy top of Northern Ireland. So I'm worried about the weather. What is the course like here, Michael?
Well, you're right about the weather, and the story will be about the weather. We're expecting a little rain, and it's obviously going to be a little bit colder than what you're used to down there in Florida, and certainly what I'm dealing with up here in the metro New York area. But what I can tell you is that this golf course, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, in the Open Championship Rota. It's a phenomenal golf course. It's a par 71, plays about 7,400 yards. But when you're playing golf over here, specifically at Royal Portrush, you don't really look at the yardage. You look at the layout of the golf course and understand that this golf course is going to play totally different than what we're used to here in the States. The ground is going to be firm. It's going to be fast. You're really getting this ball on the ground, and then you're letting it run. You're going to see this ball along the ground running for 50, 60, 70 yards. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. And you almost don't even look at the length of the hole as much as you're trying to avoid these bunkers. There's 62 bunkers that are out here, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's the least in the Open Championship Rota. But yet at the same time, you listen to Shane Lowry, you listen to Rory McIlroy talk about this golf course, and they talk about the bunkering being perfectly placed. And that's what this is all about. You're trying to avoid these bunkers, so you make decisions. Are you going to hit a 2 or 3 iron off the tee? You're going to hit a driver. You're sort of avoiding bunkers, whether you choose the 2 or 3 iron or whether you choose the driver. And there's a lot of movement to the property, a lot of swales that you got to negotiate. There's some elevated greens and some fall off areas, and the bunkers around the greens are well short of the green. So what you're realizing is that when these players are playing these shots into the green, they're playing a shot that's going to carry the bunker, but it's not going to land on the green, because if it lands on the greens are going to be firm as well, and the ball is going to roll through the green and roll off the green. You're not going to see golf balls spinning like we see it in, say, a U.S. Open, where the ball will land on the green and it will stop. That's not going to happen. We will see some rain that will soften this golf course a little bit, but it will not play soft in any way, shape, or form. And so what you expect to see is you'll see some scoring, take advantage of the 3 par 5s that are out there, and the final 6 holes to me are really what this golf course is all about. You've got 2 par 3s that'll play in the length of 200 or more yards. The 16th hole is 236 yards, and that's going to mean that this golf ball, with that wind and all the elements, it's going to be very, very low, and it's going to be rolling and running. It's going to be difficult to judge the distance that ball is going to travel. And then the 18th hole, much like the Scottish Open, the final hole is about 480. The wind is going to be a real factor in this. Finding the fairway down the stretch and putting yourself in a position where you can make a par or a birdie is a challenging ask, and you got to get it done with that tee shot there on 18. I love this golf course. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch it.
Michael, you started off, and I was like, okay, it's not going to be bad. Like, the ball's going to be moving fast, avoid the bunkers, and then you went on and on and on. This course sounds terrifying. I mean, way more than the U.S. Open, which we just saw. That said, give us a breakdown of one of the holes. You mentioned the final 6 holes. Things are going to come down to that. What do you want to show us today?
Well, it's interesting. So this whole thing is about short game. When Shane Lowry won back in 2019, it was all about short game. He was #1 in strokes gained around the green. But the thing that's so fun about it is you're not going to see players just falling into a 60-degree wedge, which they will typically do. I've got a 6-iron in my hand. I've got a shot here of about 50 yards. Now, this would typically be a shot where you would just grab your 60-degree wedge and you would just spin it. It would land by the hole, and then it would stop. It doesn't work that way when you're playing in an Open Championship. And the cool part is there's a lot of terrain, a lot of firmness, not just on the greens, but also shy of it. I've got a 6-iron. Watch how this is going to work. Now, we're playing the 18th hole at the old course. And there's what they call the Valley of Sin just shy of this. I'm going to take a little 6-iron and let this thing kind of run along the ground. It's going to roll up the hill just like this, and then it's going to trundle. Oh, find the hole. No, it didn't, but it finds the green. That's what these players are going to be dealing with. You're going to see a lot of shots around the greens that are going to be 6-irons, hybrids, putters. You are rarely, if ever, going to see somebody hitting a sand wedge or a lob wedge around the green, throwing it up into the air. Why? Because of the wind, and that's one of the reasons why these greens are going to be a little bit slower than what we're used to seeing in the U.S. The short game is always fascinating to watch when you're watching links golf.
Michael, I love you so much. That Irish accent sounds Scottish, I think. Right? No?
It is. And sometimes borders on Australian, too, by the way. I slide it in there. Don't really know exactly where I'm going. But I always think of William Wallace. That's what I think of when I do this stuff. William Wallace killed 50 men.
Oh, man. Look, it works. It works. Okay, so taking a look at the Open Championship, it has only been held twice here at Royal Portrush. The last time it was here back in 2019, Shane Lowry won it. Mentioned Irish. It is in Northern Ireland, though, the home of Rory McIlroy. However, a lot of eyes on Scottie Scheffler, who is the betting favorite, world #1 to win it, who's also making headlines today talking about his mindset to the game and his approach.
I think I said something after the Byron this year about, like, it feels like you work your whole life to celebrate winning a tournament for like a few minutes. It only lasts a few minutes, that kind of euphoric feeling. And like to win the Byron Nelson Championship at home, I literally worked my entire life to become good at golf, to have an opportunity to win that tournament. And you win it, you celebrate, you get to hug my family, my sister's there. It's such an amazing moment. And then it's like, okay, now what are we gonna eat for dinner? You know, life goes on.
A lot of headlines made about Scottie Scheffler. That his entire thing was about 5 minutes long, but getting a lot of praise. And Michael and Greg Ducharme, who's joining us, I think we can agree, having that balance between work-life is one of the reasons that Scottie Scheffler does so well. He already won the PGA Championship this golf season. He has finished his last 10 times he has played in the Open, top 10 finishes. Greg, since you're joining us, we'll start with you. Give us your thoughts on Scottie heading into this weekend.
Well, I love Scottie Scheffler's game. Just about every week he tees it up, and you could see why. I mean, you just mentioned some of the records that he's had. He plays great on seemingly every single week. The one concern I do have is in his history in links golf, he's not putted very well. He's lost strokes putting in his last 3 Open Championships and his last 3 Scottish Opens. So even though this is the best putting season of Scottie Scheffler's career, last week's struggles on the greens, if you will, Michael, they do cause me a slight bit of concern.
And yet with his struggle on the greens, he still finished tied 8th. Look,
yes.
You know what? I think Scottie Scheffler is one of those guys that does what he needs to do to win tournaments. And what I think that's so fascinating about Scottie is the perspective that he had. You listen to that clip of him talking about, you know, you work all day, you work hard as you possibly can to win a tournament, and then when you do, it's over in like 2 seconds. It is not his #1 priority, and yet he's as competitive a person as there is. I expect Scottie to be competitive again, build on his tied 7th back in 2024, the success he had last year in the Open Championship, and I just kind of feel like, you know what, this is a guy who is going to have a great week. I think the player of the year is going to be decided this week at the Open Championship between either Scottie or Rory McIlroy.
Okay, so let's talk about Rory here. Greg, I'm going to go to you on him. Look, he completes the Grand Slam by winning the Masters, but even more so than that, and it's hard to believe it, this is the tournament that has been circled for him all year. We've all known it. He's back in Northern Ireland. He wants to win. And things have kind of been up and down for him since the Masters. I mean, kind of a pedestrian finish at the PGA. And then he had to struggle to make the cut at the U.S. Open. Yes, he finished in the top 20 there. How do you feel about the pressure, Greg, being put on Rory heading into this?
Well, I feel a whole lot better about it, in large part because it's his second go at it. I mean, he told Shane Lowry in 2019, before that tournament, that this would be the biggest tournament he's ever played in. And then he makes a triple on the very first hole. So I think Rory put a lot of pressure on himself back in 2019. And while there is a lot of pressure, Rory knows how to handle that. And I think that he will have an understanding heading into this week that, hey, he knows what he needs to do this time. He will be prepared for this moment, unlike he was back in 2019. I also think his game is in good enough form, Amanda, because he did finish tied second last week. There's a little cleaning up to do, but Rory's in really good order.
Rory is the second betting favorite to win at plus 700. Scottie Scheffler is the favorite. You go down just a couple ticks there. Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and then Xander Schauffele, the defending champ here, Michael Breed. What are the chances he could go back-to-back?
Well, I think, you know what, I feel better about him now than I did a week ago. He really played nicely at the Scottish Open. The putter was fantastic. His iron play was great. He was #1 in the field in strokes gained approach. And the thing about Xander Schauffele is he is the defending champion, but he's a 2-time major champion, and he's played well in major championships. He has a tied 8th at the Masters. He has a tied 12th at the U.S. Open. This is a guy who seems to play well in big moments, and he obviously has that tied 8th at the Scottish. And I kind of feel like coming in here, he's got a lot of confidence. The putter was great for him in round 4, and it hasn't been a great year for him with the flat stick. But I think he's got a lot of confidence now, and he's gotten a little bit familiar with these green speeds last week. And so you combine what is a very good iron player with a very good putting stroke and some gained confidence with a short game that last year was exceptional. This year, because of the swing challenges that he's had, I don't think he's really had the chance to find that short game practice. But when you're changing into this type of play at the Scottish Open, at the Open Championship, where the short game is quite a bit different, you're kind of playing a short game, as I showed you before, that's different than what you've been doing all year long. I think that's going to be an advantage for Xander Schauffele. And so where do I think he sits? I think he's in really good form. I think he's going to have a very good week. Certainly a top 5 is where I see him ending up the week. I don't know whether he wins, but I think it's going to be a top 5, no question.
Top 5 definitely in contention. All right, so a lot of golfers to choose from as to who's going to win. Going through the odds, Scottie, Rory, Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Xander, and then Tommy Fleetwood. Greg, your pick is wild, so I'm going to make people wait for just a second. It's not wild, it's long odds. Michael, let's start with you. Who do you like to win?
Well, you heard Greg talk about it, Rory McIlroy. I think Rory McIlroy comes in here and he's got a little chip on his shoulder from finishing tied second at the Scottish, losing to Chris Gotterup. And I also think he's got a chip on his shoulder from what happened in 2019, where he missed the cut here on a golf course that he owns the course record on. He shot 61 here when he was 16. He's not 16 now, but he's had a lot more experience. And that experience of hitting that tee shot, that opening tee shot out of bounds in 2019 and then ultimately missing the cut, I think that's got him a little bit bothered. And I think when you take that and you put it all together with that Ryder Cup that's lurking in front of him, those are things that are really important. This is a tournament that he has had sort of starred on his list. I want to play great this week, and he is prepared now coming off that tied second. I love Rory and his chances here at the Open Championship.
Are we ready to get wild?
I like the pause. Yes. Look, okay. I'm just saying, like, if you really believe in this, I'm going to go put money down right now.
I really do believe in this. This is Keegan Bradley. Now, there's a couple of really interesting things. I know that you're probably surprised because it's not Scottie or Xander or Rory or any of those guys. This is the kind of thing that happens in Open Championships. And there's a few things that I look for specifically in major championships. One, all-around players tend to perform very well. You might not find that surprising. Well, Keegan's 4th strokes gained tee to green on the entire PGA Tour this year. His ball striking is elite. It's not wild when you look at him from a ball striking perspective. His short game, that will be required this week. He's 10th on the PGA Tour in strokes gained around the green. Then when it comes to the putting, what I want to see in putting is I don't want you to be making mistakes. So Keegan, in his 3-putt avoidance, is 31st on the entire PGA Tour. He finished tied 8th at the PGA Championship, which was his best major performance in a long time. Look, last time we were at Royal Portrush, a national hero won the Open. I think we get another national hero this time around, but it's just from our country.
I see. I counted on the betting favorites. He is 34th, and the odds have actually moved a little bit. He is now 100 6-1. So we are going to give you all the accolades if you are in fact correct, Greg Ducharme. Guys, we appreciate it. They're taking a look at the upcoming PGA schedule. As mentioned, this is the final major of the season happening this week, but then we're all getting ready for the FedEx St. Jude Championship coming up in less than a month, August 7th. Once again, getting you ready for the Open going on this weekend in Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. Taking a look at the odds to win, Scottie Scheffler sitting right above Rory McIlroy. However, we were just talking to our experts. Things are very close. They like a lot of people who are favorites, and they like a lot of people who are long shots. So let's get some betting experts in here who can look at the numbers and not just talk about maybe their feelings as to who's going to win. Granted, they have a lot of research behind them. Nejad here. Let's start with the easy one. Pick to win. Who do you like?
Well, I thought I was going to go, Amanda, with some super long shot, but I just heard Greg Ducharme pick 100-1 shot in Keegan Bradley, so I'm going to split the difference here. On that board we just showed, I do like Xander Schauffele. I think his odds are a little too long at 25-1, but I'm going to go double the odds there. I'm going to go to Matt Fitzpatrick. Amanda, he has been trending in such a good way. We know he's got good link-style form. We know in 2019 he was T20 at Royal Portrush. The problem with Matt Fitzpatrick over the last year or two is that his ball striking has just been way out of line. It has been downright terrible, but we finally see Matt Fitzpatrick rebounding with the ball striking in a pretty significant way. It led to a T4 last week, a T8 the week before that, and a T17 prior to that. What I also love about Matt Fitzpatrick is his short game and his putter on these slow fescue greens. He just grades out so well. So when we're looking at numbers and we're looking at, hey, what number presents so much value to a guy that can actually win, I think 50-1 is way too long on Matt Fitzpatrick. I don't think this market is respecting what he can do. He almost won last week, and I think he can be in contention this week and maybe win it at 50-1.
Okay, good odds there. I have no idea what to do anymore because I have now had 3 picks to win. So we're going to move on. Let's talk about DFS. Maybe a little bit safer there. Obviously, we know some of the guys are going to be really, really expensive. What are some good buys that you can get?
Amanda, you get an idea of why golf betting is so fun. There's just so many choices, so many things you can do, including in DFS. Adam Scott is a guy I really like. He's a guy that, by the way, that's 75-1 that I actually think can win this tournament as well at very long odds. I'm going to take him and Harry Hall. I mean, Adam Scott is coming in with great form, really trending in the right direction, just like Matt Fitzpatrick. Kind of a small sample size. He's done it very recently, but he is really getting up for these big events. I like his Open Championship form. 3 tournaments in a row where he's been really amazing with the ball striking, and it's just a matter of the short game, which can come and go for Adam Scott, but I'm going to trust him on these fescue greens and this link style format. I think Adam Scott is going to be just fine. And speaking of a guy with good short game, specifically with a good putter, that is Harry Hall. He's relatively long and accurate off the tee, has the complete tee to green game, and he's an awesome putter. Also coming in with great form, T17 at the Scottish Open, a very cheap price for a Harry Hall that could top 20 this event.
Okay, as you mentioned, though, golf is fun to bet. There's a lot to bet there. As you're looking through everything, is there a best bet that you have, something you feel really, really good about?
Amanda, if you recall, this part of the week, I'm always giving you an international bet. I'm going top South African, and those that have listened to this particular segment, they might think, well, top South African, I must be going with Tristan Lawrence because I've been riding this guy for a few weeks in a row. I do like Tristan Lawrence, but I don't love him in this market. I'm going to go top South African, Christian Bezuidenhout at plus 360. If you want to sprinkle a little bit on Tristan Lawrence, that's great at plus 450. Now, here's who's in this market. It's Christian Bezuidenhout. It's, of course, Tristan Lawrence. We've got Luis Oosthuizen, Aldrich Potgieter, Dean Burmeister, and Sean Norris. I actually think this is largely a 2-man race between CBez, a.k.a. Christian Bezuidenhout, and Tristan Lawrence. I love what Christian Bezuidenhout does, specifically in these big tournaments, especially in 2025. He really gets up for the majors. I like how he profiles here, pretty accurate off the tee, not necessarily long, but that shouldn't hurt him. Love what he's doing with the approach play in particular. I think this plus 360 is a really good number, and again, maybe a little safety play, maybe a little sprinkle on Tristan Lawrence, because I think he could get there potentially as well.
It's been a while since we've been able to do this. Okay, I got a South African fact for you. Not one official language, they have 12. How about that? That's a good one.
12.
12 official
See, I missed
languages,
this.
according to the
Amanda, I
Googles.
missed this. This is a learning experience.
And we're going to be really good at trivia someday. Sia Nejad, we appreciate it. You can check out Sia, all the guys, on the Early Wedge, a portion of the Early Edge podcast. And I will say Mike McClure is on there as well. He absolutely killed it last week. So make sure to check out their latest episodes.